GT1 time, and that's when the crowd really stand up. There's massive amounts of horsepower here in the dummy grid. Some very, very expensive machinery, some classy machinery. Behind me here is a former Australian V8 supercar, a Ford Falcon. We've got Camaros, we've got all sorts. John Ray's brand new car looks very impressive. Carl Hansen and Little Tuscan as well. And of course, all sorts of other cars. Glenn Brazier's another one as well in the Corvette. So massive horsepower. The crowd is starting to rise.
Thanks, Rog. As we have a look at the highlights for the first race for the GT1 class, brought to you by Miller Beer, New Balance, Melco, Post Haste and Mainfreight. Glenn Brazier was the top qualifier. The Brazier scaffolding Chevy Corvette. Carl Hansen qualified second in the TVR. John Ray's stunning new Corvette in third. Cameron Jones with fourth. Grant Brennan fifth, and Kevin Bovey in the XKR Jag qualifying sixth. So the first race of the weekend, some of the wildest creations in New Zealand motorsport. Brian Gray, Ross Johnson, Dwayne Carter involved in this battle. 3 wide down towards turn number 1. Brian Gray stunning, flame-throwing Batmobile RX-7 working through the infield. By lap number 4, Carl Hansen was comfortably in the lead in the Hansen Products TVR. John Ray getting to grips with his new Chevy Corvette, chasing down Glenn Brazier. We'll talk more about that car throughout the coverage. And down off the last lap, battles right through the field. Grant Brennan in there in the C6 Corvette. But for race number 1, it would be Carl Hansen, followed by Glenn Brazier and Grant Brennan. Grant Brennan setting a new track record. So the results from heat number 1, Carl Hansen, Glenn Brazier, Grant Brennan, John Ray debuting in 4th ahead of Cameron Jones, Mark Burgess, Andy Greenslade and Tony Stewart. And just inside the top 10, Nick Chester in the Mitsubishi Evo and Dwayne Carter in the 888 V8 Falcon Supercar. On to the grids for race number 2, again a reverse grid delayed start. Pat Harrison starts up front alongside Peter Stewart. Go back to Wayne Conda, Ashley Anderson, Brian Gray, Nick Chester. 15-second gap back to Ross Johnson and the rest of the midfield pack. Dwayne Carter, Jason Leifting, Tony Stewart. The faster guys starting further back behind them. Another 15-second gap back to the likes of Cameron Jones, John Ray, Grant Brennan, Glenn Brazier, and of course, Heat 1 winner, Carl Hansen in the fearsome TVR. Here's the race start. First cars away. Joining me in the commentary, one of the men behind this GT1 class, Darren Greenslade. He's doing double duties, commentating with me here and racing in the NZGT class as well. Welcome, Darren.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Fantastic race we've got on our hands. The faster guys just starting off at the back of the grid. See Kevin Bovey chasing them hard. Cameron Jones has got a fantastic start. Going into the first corner, they're all bunched up. They've got a few seconds to catch the front guys.
Here's the quickest cars from the weekend, including new track record holder Grant Brennan. Carl Hansen, listen to this car. It is absolutely stunning. First car's already on the Denny Holmes straight up towards Higgins.
The John Ray unfortunately had to start from pit lane. Few issues with his race suit, unfortunately, Jamie. First time he's been in a cool suit, and unfortunately they just couldn't get the belts on him.
So John Ray delayed, but he's starting out of pit lane in that wonderful new Chevrolet Corvette. Big engine. This is Wayne Conda down towards Dunlop, the Metalman Recyclers number 79, one of the regular runners in the NZ Super Sedan Championship. He's chasing down Nick Chester in the Chester's Mitsubishi Evo.
Just a little bit about Wayne. It's only his second season in the car after coming out of it from go-karting, believe it or not, doing a fantastic job in that Corvette.
Yeah, Wayne was a very good shifter kart racer based up in Auckland, of course. He campaigned this car the previous weekend at Manfield for the MG Classic meeting with the Super Sedan class. Got a bit of a shakedown for this meeting in preparation for the weekend. So Chester leading through Splash, chased by Wayne Conda. Reverse grid delayed start, second race of the weekend for the GT1 class. And again, brought to you by Miller Beer, New Balance, Melco, Post Haste and Mainfreight.
Conda all over the back of Nick Chester at this stage. The Evo's certainly got a little bit of a wick on the V8 at this stage though, Jamie.
Yeah, well, Chester's Evo reputedly punching out about 600 horsepower, and it doesn't weigh a lot up against the big V8 Trans Am spec cars.
He's spent quite a bit of time in that car. He knows what he's doing.
Look at this battle for position. That's Andy Greenslade in the big Corvette. Peter Stewart in the Cortina. Brian Gray in the Batmobile RX-7. We're on board here with John Ray. Check this shot out. Up up the inside of Stewart at the hairpin.
Fantastic to see he's managed to get his seatbelts on. Listen to that.
That is unbelievable. On board there with John Ray. 6.7 litre small block in between the chassis rails. Brand new race car debuting this weekend at Manfield.
That chassis came out of Florida, and he had quite a bit of work to do to get it to that stage, but Derek Mitchell and the team have done a magnificent job on that car at John Ray's.
Jason Leifting there in the little 22B Subaru Impreza. He's working his way through this field as well. Nick Chester still your race leader though. Such a quality field, really progressing from the first round of the championship at the Taupo Tier 1 round.
Fantastic to see such a variety of cars too, which is of course what the crowd want to see.
I think that's one of the most important things in New Zealand motorsport at the moment. We go through so many of our classes and there are such a diverse range of cars right through so many of our fields. Peter Stewart here, Chevy-powered Ford Cortina.
Just not able to effect the pass on Brian Gray in the quad rotor. That's right, the quad rotor rotary. Brian Gray's built that motor himself for that car. A beautifully tuned out car.
And I only thought they went to triples. There's a quad rotary in existence. That's unbelievable.
He copied that off the Le Mans racer that was a quad rotor from a few years ago, Jamie.
Of course, Mazda having won the Le Mans Classic back, I think, in the 90s. There's Grant Brennan coming into view in that bright red C6 Corvette. New track record in race number 1. Average lap speed of 164 kilometres an hour. Look at the flame out from Gray's quad rotor just up ahead of him.
Nick Chester still leading the bunch. The faster guys are starting to cut them to shreds now, getting through the pack.
Wayne Conda, though, staying with him. Just looking at the lap times, Chester in the 1:11s. Conda also in the 11s and just about identical lap times. Here's Grant Brennan. Peter Stewart goes off backwards towards the hairpin in the 66 and does a good job in race number 2. Here's Grant Brennan going through. Mark Burgess in the Mazda, Brian Gray.
Interesting to note, Jamie, that a lot of these cars have been built from the ground up by the drivers. Not a lot of input from mechanics. A lot of these guys do it themselves in their back sheds, that sort of thing. The likes of Grant Brennan, Cameron Jones, a few of the guys, fantastically tuned out cars.
And there are some wonderful pieces of kit out there, and none more developed than Carl Hansen's TVR.
Look at that.
It is just absolutely stunning, and it sounds the part as well.
I think that car's out to a 6-litre V8 now, Rover-based, fuel-injected, Motec control. Unbelievable car, that one.
Rover-based. There aren't too many pieces that would be genuine Rover in that power plant anymore, but it is such a wonderful motor vehicle, and he's up into second, chasing down Nick Chester.
It's the fastest TVR Tuscan in the world. There's none faster than that one of Carl Hansen's.
And that's backed up by the TVR factory in Great Britain. The fast cars just starting to bunch up a little bit here. Cameron Jones working with Glenn Brazier, back on board with John Ray. He started from pit lane, so he had to come from a long way back. JR pulling gears. That thing pulls some RPM, doesn't it?
Absolutely fantastic car. He's been out of racing for around about 18 months. When he heard about the GT1 concept, thought he couldn't miss out on that, so he hauled that car out of the States, and boy, is he flying.
Last lap for Carl Hansen, looking for 2 out of 2 for the weekend. John Ray just up inside the top 10. That's Dwayne Carter just up ahead of him. That is such a great shot looking back into the cockpit. And John Ray, we've come to expect great car presentation from the new Plymouth-based driver. He's got an inside run here on the V8 supercar. Through to Splash, John Ray picks up the position. That should be through to 9th. Here's your race leader, Carl Hansen, off Higgins onto the back straight for the final time.
Glenn Brazier following hard. I don't think he's got the legs to catch up on Carl at this stage.
They've both dropped off. Nick Chester, he's got a battle on his hands with Andy Greenslade in the big Corvette. Grant Brennan up into 5th, but it's Carl Hansen, 2 out of 2 for the weekend. Ford GT1 at Manfield. Glenn Brazier in 2nd, and look at the gap back to 3rd. Nick Chester should hold on to it here, but Carl Hansen victorious again at Manfield. So on to the results. Hansen with 2 out of 2 for the weekend ahead of Glenn Brazier. Nick Chester 3rd, Andy Greenslade 4th, followed by Brennan, Conda, Leifting and Mark Burgess. John Ray in 9th ahead of Dwayne Carter in 10th. Tony Stewart and Cameron Jones in 13th and 14th in 2 RX-7s.
Glenn, pretty good drive, like Carl. You came off the back there, you with him the whole way.
Yeah, he got a good start on me, and he just held that gap all the way through, and I was sort of hoping he was going to get balked with a bit of traffic there, but he got through there cleanly, and he drove very well, and he was sort of able to stick with him, but couldn't close in on him.
Carl, pretty impressive drive off the back and came through.
Yeah, it was a hot race, and Glenn just kept on sticking in behind me. He wouldn't let up.
Well, the GT1 class has always brought along some pretty impressive machinery, and one person here with me now who's well known for looking after gear, having immaculate gear, is John Ray. John, this new car, I believe from America, it looks something else.
Well, it's quite interesting. I'll just give you a quick upgrade as to how come we got the car. The Camaro was burnt in a fire back in February of this year, which is fairly depressing for us, and then Alan Malcove got this GT1 idea together, and we figured, well, let's have another crack at it. So we hunted on the net, and we found a car in Florida, and what was most important for me about buying another car was to make sure I got a car with moulds. All the other moulds were lost in the fire, so we wanted to make sure if we got a car we could actually reproduce body panels. So we brought the car in, it arrived in June, and unpacked it. A little bit of damage in the container and shipping, and then when we started pulling it apart, it wasn't as good as it should have been. So we elected to take it to Derek's Mitchell Race Extreme, just give it a bit of a makeover, but the more we pulled apart, the uglier it was. So there's not a lot left. I guess all that's left of the car is the body, but we had to remount it. It was mounted crooked. The rear end and the front suspension, replaced all the shocks, all the brakes. I mean, like it's been about a 1,500-hour rebuild since July. So Derek and Nick did a great job. Engine was rebuilt by Craig Hyland. Well, it was our new engine that blew up on the dyno a year or two ago. So Craig's done a good job. If you have a look at the car a little later, you'll see that Derek and Nick have really used their brains, put a lot of thought into it. Obviously, I'm sort of a detail guy, as you mentioned, so we've had a fair bit of input. And I'm very happy that Tenderlink, a New Plymouth-based company, came on board with us again this year to make it happen. I mean, the build on the car was such that without their support, it'd be sitting in the shed. So we're very happy with Tenderlink's support.
Just tell us a little bit about the power plant in the car.
Yep. It's a 400 cubic inch Donovan aluminium block that we brought, obviously brand new, and we ordered it raised camshaft, 50mm cam bearings, and we ordered it with no lifter galleries machine, which is bizarre, but John Baruka from Hendrick Motorsport, I brought all my cylinder heads from them, and he designed the valve train. So there has no spreader bars on the roller followers, they're all keywayed, so the block had to be machined to suit the cam. So SP2 heads on a Donovan block. It's got a Morrison out of Australia 8 throttle body billet injector. Beautiful piece of work, but you got to wait about 2 years to get your injection from them, so probably the fire was a good thing, so it took a while for it all to happen. The motor, we're not running a lot of compression, but we're happy with the horsepower. The torque's amazing. We're a little bit concerned that it might start breaking parts, but it's 604 foot-pounds of torque, and we'll just keep the horsepower to ourselves, but it's not bad.
Well, that's pretty impressive. The other thing that's impressive here is your transporter. Tell us a bit about that. It's pretty good looking.
Well, we built this 6 years ago, myself and a guy called Murray Pearce from R&B Equipment in Inglewood, and 6 years ago it was a pretty impressive trailer. But if you take a wander over and have a look at Mark Cromie's trailer, that's a trailer. I would say that would rate as the most beautiful trailer in this country. It's built by Wade European. But no, I mean, this does the job for us. We economise, and people look at my gear and they probably, he doesn't economise. Well, we do. We sleep in the trailer at the racetracks. We barbecue. I mean, the whole motel thing, it just gets too out of hand. So, and I like the fact that the majority of my crew stay with us, and we have some fun and talk and laugh and catch up. So the racing's one part of it. We'll probably get more fun out of detailing the race car, Roger, and putting it together and do out of racing the damn thing. But no, we've got an F450 up the front pulling it. I think it's the only one in the country currently. So, and to me, it's American. Trailer looks American. Truck's American. Car's American. We run the Americana event. So if it ain't American, it's not worth having. Except my road car's not American.
Oh, well, we better get out there, and good luck for the first race.
Hey, thanks very much. You guys do a great job.
Thanks, Roger. Catching up with the latest fantastic addition to the New Zealand motorsport fleet. Pat Harrison starts off the pole for race number 3, a full handicap start alongside Peter Stewart, Ashley Johnson, Wayne Conda. 15 seconds back to the next group of cars. Then we go back to the midfield in a 40-second gap, and the faster cars 70 seconds down on the first cars away from this field. Pat Harrison off the front row alongside the Chevy-powered Cortina of Peter Stewart.
Ashley Anderson in the rotary turbo, that one tucked in just behind the front two runners.
So Porsche GT3 996, Pat Harrison. There's Nick Chester, came close to winning heat number 2, but was pipped by Carl Hansen and Glenn Brazier. There's Dwayne Carter lighting up the Carter's V8 Falcon supercar.
Don't tell the supercar boys that one just got blown off the line by a rotary turbo, Jamie.
There's Racing Ray Williams getting away in the 12. Haven't seen much of him in the coverage. He's had a few dramas this weekend. As Kevin Bovey gets away in the XKR Jag. Andy Greenslade in the big Corvette. The rest of the field already working their way down the Denny Holmes straight. Here's Wayne Conda going at it with Chester. Watch John Ray take off in this car.
Oh, listen to that. That's stunning, isn't it?
On the rev limiter, and it gets to maximum speed so quick. 400 cubic inches of aluminium Donovan. It's basically a sprint car engine. Brazier and Brennan get away on board through the infield with John Ray to the hairpin. There's Carl Hansen just up the track. Oh, problems there for the injured gen, number 20, Tony Stewart. He's buried that car in the gravel trap. Pat Harrison still your race leader, another one off, and this time it's the 13.
Must be something about the rotaries and sand this weekend, Jamie.
Ashley Anderson going off. John Ray belching flames out the right side of the Tenderlink Corvette. Pat Harrison continues to lead this race, the finale for the GT1 class for the weekend at Manfield.
Chased hard by Peter Stewart in the 6-litre Chevy-powered Ford Cortina.
That's a neat car. Peter Stewart does a good job. New Zealand's fastest Moriori, self-proclaimed.
Absolutely. Hails from Tipuki, and he bought that car off Grant Brennan. Used to be raced by David Brennan.
Here's Anderson getting pushed out of the gravel trap. Wayne Conda's got his hands full. He's battling there with Nick Chester. The last time we saw these two, those positions were reversed, so the middleman Camaro's got ahead of the Chester's Mitsubishi Evo. Working their way.
Wayne Conda having a particularly good run getting past Nick Chester and heading up towards where Peter Stewart is on the track.
Yeah, Wayne's been a bit of a master of these handicap races. He won the third and final race the previous weekend for the New Zealand Super Sedans at the MG Classic event. And he's working his way forward here in the final race of the weekend for GT1. Problems for Jason Leifting. He goes pit side in the 22. As John Ray hunts down into Dunlop. Darren, I think it's time to take a ride with John Ray, and I think we might just back off here and listen to the wonders of a small block Donovan.
I'm certainly happy to do that, Jamie.
Well, that is absolutely sensational. One of the best sounding race cars in the country at the moment, and there is just a field full of wonderful race cars in this GT1 class. Mark Burgess goes down the inside of Peter Stewart, the Parker Store number 56 Mazda. The V8 supercar Hollinger gearbox on board that car. Cameron Jones has a bit to do with this vehicle as well. As they go past Tony Stewart, stuck in the gravel trap through Splash.
Yes, Cameron Jones actually built the engine of that car, Jamie, the one that's run by Mark Burgess.
Probably some of the quickest RX-7s in Australasia between himself, Stewart and Cameron Jones. Wayne Conda is your race leader though, in the middleman number 79.
Great to see him having such a fantastic run this weekend after a few of the problems he's had in the last season and a half, Jamie.
Yeah, well, certainly at Taupo, he didn't even start the weekend. No races, certainly. Out of qualifying, the car caught fire and did quite a bit of damage to the top part of the engine and the fuel injection.
That's exactly right. So it's a real bonus that he's got himself together and going so very, very well this weekend.
Brother Andy back there in the big Corvette, and your new XKR Jag, hopefully not too far away for yourself, Darren.
Yeah, I've got to give that brother of mine a bit of a shake-up, so we're hoping that Jag's going to do the deed.
Another fantastic addition to the GT1 class, hopefully this year. As we go to the last lap, back on board with John Ray, forcing the pressure down the inside of Pat Harrison, down into Toyota. John Ray trying to crack into the top 10, such is the competitiveness of this field. Carl Hansen, I don't know that he's going to win this one. I don't think he's got far enough through this field. Wayne Conder's going to be pretty hard to beat.
John Ray coming up on Mark Burgess now. That's not going to last long.
There's JR down the inside. Oh, Burgess covered him. He's going to go to the outside, up towards Higgins, off the Denny Holmes straight. Touch there.
Oh, commentator's curse.
I don't know if there was a touch there or JR went around by himself, but Burgess went off track as well. He manages to gather it back up, but out of Dunlop for the final time. Wayne Conder with the third victory for the weekend in GT1. Second will be Racing Ray Williams in the Porsche. Third, Nick Chester just on the line from Andy Greenslade.
Fantastic bit of handicapping that. Very, very close at the line for the finish.
There's Carl Hansen crossing the line in 50, ahead of Peter Stewart. So the final race for GT1 for the weekend from Manfield. Wayne Conder with the victory from Racing Ray Williams, Nick Chester third. Then it's Andy Greenslade, Carl Hansen, Peter Stewart, Mark Burgess and Glenn Brazier. Outside of the top 8, Pat Harrison, the pole sitter from Kevin Bovey, John Ray in 11th, Grant Brennan in 12th.
Ray, looks like you got CRC back on the podium, the well-known company with your Porsche came home second.
Thank you very much. Yeah, awesome. Hard work, but it was a good one for the team because we've been really pushing uphill all weekend.
Wayne, well done. You'd had to do a bit of work to get through to the finish.
Yeah, it was pretty hot out there, but I just took my time and lucky Nick let me in down into turn 1, so it made it a little bit easier for me. But, yeah,